Let's zoom in on Florida, a state with an exceptionally tough stance on HIV. Florida's laws go further than most, both in scope and severity of punishment. This has made Florida a cautionary example in the debate over HIV criminalization. In Florida, it is a felony for a person who knows they are HIV positive to have sexual intercourse with another person without first disclosing their status. A single instance of consensual sex without disclosure is treated as a third-degree felony, punishable by up to 5 years in prison and a $5,000 fine. What's more, Florida law was interpreted in 2017 to define sexual intercourse broadly, covering not just vaginal sex but also anal sex. Oral sex is excluded by statute. This means virtually any sexual activity can trigger a felony charge if HIV status wasn't disclosed. Neither the use of a condom nor having an undetectable viral load, i.e. effective treatment, is a defense under Florida S law. Intent to transmit the virus is also irrelevant. A person can be convicted, even if they had no desire to cause harm, and even if no transmission occurred. Florida uniquely ratchets up the penalty for repeat violations. If someone is found to have not disclosed their HIV status to partners on multiple occasions, the charge can escalate to a first-degree felony, carrying up to 30 years in prison. In effect, an HIV-positive person who is sexually active and fails to disclose every time could face a prison sentence on par with serious violent crimes. This extreme penalty applies even if the virus was never passed to anyone. As one Florida advocate noted, under current law, an HIV-positive person can face up to 30 years in prison for failure to disclose their status with a consensual partner, and that risk comes whether the virus gets transmitted or not. These severe consequences have raised concerns that Florida AS policy is stuck in the panic of the past rather than the science of today. Beyond private sexual encounters, Florida law also criminalizes several scenarios that public health experts say pose minimal risk. If a person with HIV is involved in prostitution, as a worker or a client, without disclosing their status, it's a felony in Florida. This is enforced even when the acts involved carry little or no risk of transmission. For example, an HIV-positive individual offering or soliciting oral sex has been prosecuted, despite oral sex having an extremely low transmission risk. Essentially, HIV status turns a misdemeanor like prostitution into a serious felony. It is illegal for someone who knows they have HIV to donate blood, plasma, organs, or other bodily tissue in Florida. This might seem common sense. No one wants HIV-tainted blood in the supply. But it's worth noting that blood banks already rigorously screen donations. The law adds a criminal penalty regardless of intent, even an HIV-positive person. Attempting to donate to help a friend or out of ignorance could be charged. Florida did consider amending this to allow donations specifically for HIV-positive recipients under medical guidance, reflecting advances in transplanting organs between HIV-positive people. Perhaps most controversially, Florida prosecutors have used general criminal statutes to go after people with HIV for behaviors like biting or spitting. In a 2009 case, a Florida man living with HIV allegedly bit a police officer during an altercation while shouting that he had HIV. Prosecutors charged him with attempted murder, and he was ultimately convicted of aggravated battery with a deadly weapon, the weapon being his HIV-positive saliva. He received 15 years in prison, despite medical consensus that saliva cannot transmit HIV and the risk from a bite is infinitesimally low. Florida law treats such incidents as equivalent to assault with a deadly weapon, illustrating how HIV status can turn a scuffle into a life-altering felony case. Thank you for watching. If you like my content, please hit that bell, so you will be notified every time I upload. Jeanette Lorraine, your Truth Drop Queen.